Hey, everybody. I'm going to begin here in a moment. People will start funneling in and we will get set up to begin. So let's just load this in, share the screen, load that in, go to recently viewed. And we'll start down here. I can start with Tesla. It really doesn't matter where we start. Let's start there. mRNA. We'll start there. All right. So, hey, everyone. So I'm still setting up a little bit here, running a little bit late. Was watching Dallas lose. Just bear with me. And put this in videos over here. And let me just put this here. All right. Good evening. Hey, Jim Bob. Hey, Ro. Hey, Dan. Thoughts on Dig? I think energy has some gas left in it. That is probably the worst joke I've heard all day. So let's take a look at it. I agree with you. But that joke's awful. I know. I'm watching it. I actually feel bad for Barkley. I'm a Penn State alum, so I actually feel bad for Barkley because he just constantly is getting injured. It's really bad. It sucks. I mean, there's really no other way to say it. I feel really bad for the guy. Look, stuff like this, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm looking at nothing but energy. I'm really looking at anything commodity-based seems to be where the action is. That's really what's taking off. You have one issue just to watch here, and it does respect it. Okay. So just FYI, when you get up to here, you could start running into an issue. But there's probably 5 or 6 points there. This is definitely something to look at. And, can you fill the gap? I don't know. I don't know if you're going to fill that gap or not, right? And we all remember why that gap happened. Okay. We're all aware of it. I mean, this was when, we went negative on oil. So broke down. And since then, it's been trading itself back up, which is great. It's done exceptional, got all the way back up to here, back down. But let's see how it plays out. I like it. Yeah, I got a great education, set me up to go to grad. I mean, it was a great school. Very hard to complain. And I'm from that area. Well, I'm from Philly, but I love it. I think it's a great school. So, but in regards to anything, Sunday nights are just scans where we just talk about everything and just throw out names if you want. I mean, for me, just everybody knows this, but I expected to see some news this weekend. I didn't see any on this appeal. There was no news out on it whatsoever. So that has me very interested in what's going to happen there and how that's going to play out. I think that if you are someone that shorts, I mean, this is clearly, to me, and again, I could be wrong, but I think this is clearly going to the 200-day moving average. And I think there's major issues here. So you're getting, even if it's good, you're getting reluctance now from people because of being forced to do it. It just doesn't work that way. You can't mandate something like this. I mean, you can, but I'm not talking just politically, but I'm saying it's not good for the company because people are going to shy away from it. So that set up with the fact that they have to fight, the ABUS, which, caveat, I am long this. I just don't see how this is going to play out. I really don't. So, there's a lot here, and maybe they win, maybe they don't. But either way, I think we could see this move lower. So, maybe we get a spike out of if the news is positive on the appeals, but if it's negative, this is going to get super ugly. So, but hey, Marco, welcome from Germany. Welcome. I'm in the US. So, LPI got rejected. What do I see? Let's get into it. So, a lot of these stocks, what you really should be looking at is going through the whole grouping of them and see which ones got rejected and which ones did not get rejected. If that got rejected and closed at the low of the day, you need to watch it. Okay. Just like this one did for me, right? Like I'm not crazy about this bar here. You should not be crazy about this bar, especially when you're seeing things like, EOG closing at a high and breaking out, right? APA. I mean, these were ones I put in the top 10 for a reason. So, they're in the top 10 this week, both of those. So look for the breakouts that are working. This worked, FANG. Okay, but there's an issue up here with FANG. So look for the names in oil that are working. You can use any scanner. You could use MarketSmith or any scanner out there, FinViz, and just scan for oil names and go look at the charts. But the ones that sold off on Friday, I'd be really cautious of because that's the weaker group, and the money for whatever reason is going into another group of stocks. So that I would be cautious there, Jen. DE, John Deere, and Dash. So now I'm under the 200-day moving average, so I can't touch this. Okay. You can see the wedge, you can see your H, and then you bounced here up. Now, usually if you bounce off of here and off this H, see how this looks like an H? Usually if you bounce off of these levels, you wind up going higher. Okay, so maybe it's washed out. It's possible. It's possible it's washed out, but usually you have to undercut the low for it to be washed out. We haven't done that. So, but it could be setting up to undercut and then go. But this isn't my kind of trade. I mean, you're bottom fishing. There's a lot of things that could happen here. And I don't think there's a lot of money to be made. Dash, I wouldn't go near. Okay. This is why I always leave levels in. I mean, I don't even need moving averages. When you get good at this, you can just look at it and go, look, 202. Right? Then you're going to come right to here and test. You went right to this 211 range where we had issues before, and look how we rejected right here. We couldn't even get into the gap. So, here's look at up here. Look, wick after wick after wick, right? And what is this telling you? Right? It's telling you that you're getting price rejection up here. So, look, people want to go out. They don't want to DoorDash anymore. They're over it. Okay? They're so over it. So just kind of keep that in mind. But it's not something I would chase now. If you want me to make it look somewhat pretty, that's easy. All I have to do is this. Put those in and go from there. And now you're above your 50, you're above your 8, and now you have to clear your 21 to go. But that's a much clearer picture of what's going on here. And not to completely deflate your bubble on this one, but okay, you break that, you have an issue. Okay, if you break this, you have a real issue. I actually would be looking at this on the other side. To be candid, I'd be looking at Dash breaking the 50-day. That's what I'd be looking for. And if I see Dash break the 50-day. I might be on the other side of that trade. That might be a short for me. So, I think a lot of these at-home names are shorts, guys. I mean, and girls. So I do. I think they're shorts. And, I think that 50-day trade that we did up here, we talked about that short trade. Same thing. I mean, that's what you're looking at. So let's just keep going. Yeah, AMC's charts is pretty ugly. Look, I think that trade across the board is not as bad as GME, but it's not good. right? Like get rid of all this. Look, get rid of all this for a moment, right? That's not great. You know, the only thing that I could tell you is you see this bar here? You're respecting the bottom of this. That 35.59. See how every time it breaks it, we come back. Now we're touching it again. And what do? We undercut it and then rally up, come back. So you have about another month or two where this is going to make a decision into the Christmas time. So I wouldn't be shorting here. I mean, we could overlay this to make it look uglier, but you know, to me, the 50-day and these moving averages lose a lot of value when essentially this is just one big wedge. What's the point? They're not really telling you anything anymore, right? So sometimes it's just better to look at price. Fauci came out that the virus is backing down and carries trick-or-treating. That's a good sign. That is a good sign. I'm glad. I'm glad. His Christmas comment was not well received. Let's just leave it at that by grandmothers everywhere. So I'm glad he said that. And I think they're going to change their tune. I think they're starting to catch the vibe here. And so that's going to back people off a little bit. So that's good. So Netflix, Param, I had a trade on Netflix on Friday and I closed it. I had an option trade that did not work. And I had an index trade that I made very little money, or a stock trade I made very little money on. But overall, I was down in that trade between the options and the stock. It just did not work. I thought we were going to break out on that news. Everyone seemed very excited. I actually thought we were going to break through this, and that's what I was trying to play. And we played this in the trading room, and candidly, it didn't work. So I'm waiting for this to get above that level. Until I get above this and close above it, I'm not going to play with it anymore because it's clearly like here, let me get rid of this. Okay. It's clearly respecting this. So until it gets above that param, I'm not interested. I'd be really cautious. Now, remember these names. Like, remember we played UPST here, right? And how it kept going up and rejecting. And then as soon as it finally went, well, that's when it went. So there's a big trade coming on Netflix to the long side, in my opinion. I think there's a big trade coming because here, look at this. And this is where I think I'm right. Like, that's an enormous base, right? Look at that base. So I don't see any reason to think that that's going lower. I just don't see it. I mean, here's your evening star here. And then you got above the evening star, right, on this week. So that's a setup. I mean, this whole thing right here is a huge setup, right? Getting above that wick, which, that's, you call it a gravestone, but you still have like an evening star position here, just never executed fully. I like it long term. I just was in at the wrong price. So maybe if it pulls back to 615, I'll take a look at it. But other than that, I've got to break that level now for me to take a look at it. But other than that, I'm not interested. So PANW, it looks like an absolute, beast, and it just keeps on going. It really does. Let's look at this. I love these kinds of trades, these gaps. When you gap and then you pop over, they're just perfect. You have a trend line right here. This is going to be your first issue. Let me just draw that perfectly so you can see it. So that's going to be your first issue. That trend line comes back to here. There's the other trend line here if you break it. But let's get rid of that one so we don't confuse everyone, Marco, and just look at this one, right? So you can kind of see how you're up here. And then when it starts to get close to it, what happens? We get a little bit of a rejection. What happens when it pokes out here? What's happening? We're getting wicks, right, Marco? So what's that mean? It means price rejection. Is that candlestick video that I did that explains that. You guys have probably, and girls have probably all watched it, but watch the candlestick video if you haven't. And really, when you start seeing this and you start getting wick after wick on the price point up, become cautious. Okay, that's not great news. I don't want to build a flag made out of wicks. That's not exciting to me. I'm sorry about that, leaving that on there. LC, Jim Bob, let's do it. So this looks like it could go. You have a little bit of a W here, right? I like the W. I like the little reversal. And I like how I'm into this wick. And I didn't fade on Friday. Let's look at the indicators. Yep, see, you're respecting that 50-day moving average. Came right down to here, you're 8, you're 21, and then boom, now you're taking off. That's exactly what you want to see. That's good stuff. I like that. Now, where are your relative volume? This is kind of hard to see. So let's use a relative volume and see what's going on here. Okay. So $2. Yeah. I mean, I like that. That could work. That could work. Watch this level. Watch this level because there could be a trade here. The fact that this is upticking like this, when are earnings? Yeah, you have time. So that could definitely work. I mean, this, I wonder, was that earnings last time? Yeah. This was earnings last time and you're going into earnings season. So everyone's going to remember this and they're going to look at trying to play it ahead of time. So, you know, I would definitely take a look at that. Airbnb action on Friday. Airbnb's action on Friday was awful. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Okay. It was just absolutely awful. And, you know, I had a position. It simply did not work. It closed below, you know, where my stop was by 3 cents. And that's it. I mean, I'm out. That's a nasty, nasty rejection. And it never lifted, never showed signs of lifting. And it's just, there's no other way to say it. It's just not good. So now it really just boils down to what are we going to do about it? And for me, I think we just kind of have to sit back, watch, and wait, right? But really, for me, I think you have to really watch this. Like if you're in this, maybe we go over again, but now you have to clear this wick before you even consider buying it. So it's not something I'd be rushing into. Let me leave it at that. So, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm having a blast doing it. So I'm not crazy about it, Ro. TSM, well, I don't know. They're different trades. Like TSM, you have geopolitical risk, okay? Like, I don't know, and I try not to make this political, but everything's political now. So it's kind of hard not to talk about some of this stuff, even though I'm trying my butt off not to. But when you see what China comes out and says that we're going to peacefully reunite Taiwan, that is not a warm and fuzzy statement. Okay, so that means that they may take action and that the U.S. knows that they may take action. And then I don't know if anyone saw the Wall Street Journal article about U.S. Special Forces over there training people. You know, there's a lot to concern ourselves with here. So what I would argue here is that when you're at these levels, as long as you're holding this, I think you buy that level. I think the moment you close below this on Taiwan Semi, you have to get out of the way because it could get worse. Okay, but this is when you buy Taiwan Semi when it's down, when it's getting hammered. And, you know, that's really when you want to buy it. Okay, so that's how I look at that trade. Now, that said, things like this, you don't buy these breakouts. Do I think it's bottomed? I think that there's some geopolitical risk here to this one that I find somewhat alarming. But do I think it could hold? Sure, I do. Lamb Research is just broken. So, I mean, that is beyond broken. So I would not be thinking that has bottomed. To me, let me just show you this. So to me, this is a left shoulder right here, okay? This is a big head, right? And this is a right shoulder. Okay, this looks like it's in for massive, massive pain. So that's not really what you want to hear, I'm sure. And I don't know if the whole space looks like that, but no, the whole space does not look that bad. But that said, like I was looking at this the other day and it just can't lift. It just can't, there's no follow through. It just stops. So you have to watch it. This, if I was going to play one, this is the one that I would play. We traded this one in the newsletter. We made $56 on it up here, reversed, right? We got stopped out somewhere in here. I forget exactly where. I'd have to go back and look at it. But the goal was to get up and in and ride the wave. That didn't happen. I've had a couple trades in this one before, but you really can't. Semis really don't exist without this company. So this is the one I like the most out of the group. It just looks absolutely awful though. So, on sell downs, I'll be a buyer. Until then, yeah, I'd be really careful with semiconductors. Jen, I'm really trying to find a spot to buy this, to be honest with you. Like, number one stock that's on my list that I want to own is this. And, we made $10 on one trade, 13 on the other, but it's nothing compared to what we should be making on trades. That's just the environment. You have to take what the market's giving you. It's giving us singles. So what's happening here? Like, this is the number one that I'm looking at. Look at this trend line. Look what happened when it got to the trend line. It rejected, right? So maybe we build here and we base. I mean, this is how it starts, right? Here's your wedge. 1, 2, maybe this does go in reverse, but you need to see that. And right now they just look absolutely awful. They just don't look good at all. CMG and bookings. I mean, kind of looks toppy, doesn't it? Right? And we broke the 50-day. So I'd be really careful. I get very careful of any stock that breaks its 50-day like this, and you have a history of what it looks like when it breaks that 50-day and how it can just sell down. So, whether it keeps selling down or not, I don't know. But you're rolling here and you're breaking down, and the 21 days coming down and the 8 days pointing down. So it's not something that I'm looking at. I wouldn't be jumping into this. I would imagine that this would be doing much better. And, we're just not lifting on these names like I thought we would. I thought they call it bookings now. It used to be called Priceline. But I would think that this would be breaking out on the news because people are going to start traveling. Even as Dan just said, Fauci coming out and saying people can trick or treat, that's them, saying, hey, it's okay to start opening things up a little bit. Well, with that said, that's important to understand. Now, with what else is going on here, look, and you can see this. Okay. I don't like all these wicks. Like, it's just wick after wick after wick. And I keep waiting for this to break out, but it's just not happening. So I would hold off on those. Are we out of the woods on the Qs? I actually, look, you want my full opinion? Sure. Let's do it. Let's get rid of this. So here's your issue. Okay. Here's your trend line. Here's your issue. You're above the 8 and the 8 is pointing up. So the first thing I would tell you is this is the first time that the 8 day is actually pointing up. Okay. Since we broke here, right, we have not pointed up. Okay. We had 1 day here, but you have yet to have this line be like this. It has yet to happen. Now, is that something to be all excited about? No. But this doji was a gravestone doji right at the top of this 21 day, right? And essentially we didn't fall apart. So the fact that we're not breaking this level, so far we're not breaking this level, has me more convinced that I should be buying dips. That's where my head is right now. And it's really hard to imagine a sell-off, right? Like, it's very hard to imagine more pain and more sell-off with the VIX at 18. It's just not realistic, right? Because no one's buying insurance. Could it happen? Sure, absolutely could happen. Doesn't mean that it's going to. Is it possible that we pulled back and now we're going to go higher? Yes. Look, you have to understand something. The market moves much different than it used to, right? Between social media and instant information that people are getting, they act on everything. Everybody thinks they know how to read. So you get quicker moves than we've ever had before. So you need to be quicker, right? So these sell-offs are going to be accentuated because everyone says, oh, if it breaks this, then we have to go. So all these moves get accentuated by retail now. Okay. So I think that you're there. Yeah. I think you're, do I think you bottomed? I don't know, but it sure feels like we're getting there. Let me leave it at that. Hey, Swing, welcome. We watching Dallas lose? I know they're up. I just like saying Dallas is losing. So, CCIX, that's a firm. And I know I got some Dallas fans in here. CCIX, look, this thing's a beast. I mean, very clean now. You have a very clean range. Okay. There is no reason to go long-term long on this until you get above this. Okay. And that's your short, right? And I don't think that you're going to break $29. I really don't. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't say it. I mean, they had really good news. I didn't read the report, but the fact that there was a statement that was said where they have a clean label, which means they have very little side effects to whatever their drug is. Someone here might be able to speak better to it. I try to keep these technical, not fundamental, especially biotech, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. So I don't want to speak out of turn. But 4090, I think you could get back to 48 very, very quickly. I'll be looking at that left and right, right? I mean, I'll be looking at that left and right on that level. And we'll see if that happens. I probably wouldn't even short it down here because I'd probably be a buyer down here and looking for another pattern. Because when you have a drug like that, someone could just take them out. So keep that. So I hope that answers your question on that. DATS and Affirm. I think DATS could absolutely rip. The more I look into the space, what they are, what they do, let me clean all this off. So the more I look into this and what they do, I think that you could eventually trade back up to these levels on it. I really feel that way. So I would definitely have it on my radar. I would also state that it's highly speculative. So just keep that in mind. Affirm. So here's Affirm. Here's your 126.46 level. Bonk, breaks down, and then goes. Look, see this pattern where you have one big bar and then you have like a small one and then this one encapsulates it. This is extremely powerful. It's an extremely powerful position and pattern. And it's very clear that this could happen. Okay. It's very clear that this could happen. And if you clear 146.90, you're going to run. Okay. You're going to run. I think that that's very, very clean to understand and very clear to understand. So am I buying it here? Probably not. I'll probably wait for this. It has a history of getting up here and selling down. We're going to have to see. CIDM. Everyone knows how I feel about the little guys. Look, let's just see where you're at here. Let's look at this on a weekly for a minute. Yeah. I mean, here you are. The only look here, this is good. The fact that you're above that wick and you're holding, hold on. Let me draw that better. The fact that you're above that wick and you're holding, right? And now look, 237, 235. Here you are, 233. So there's a level here hitting and it reversed. And that level became that 234. That's your stop. If you want to try it, that's your stop. Could it go? It could. See this? See this pattern? Cup. And then it goes up. And now it's probably going to do the same thing. So it can do that. Your next real resistance is going to be 322. And then you start getting into all this other stuff. But that's really your next resistance right here. So, yeah, even here you had an issue. That's interesting. But, yeah, you're looking at 322 on that, Brandon. Hey, Jenny. Does Tesla still look good? Yeah, I mean, caveat. I'm long Tesla. I have a very long outsized position in Tesla. I mean, I'm just being honest. And I like it. I think it could keep going. I really do. I really think it could keep moving here. So I don't think there's any reason to do anything with it. I really don't. Just leave it alone. I don't see any signs of that breaking. I'm showing you a weekly chart, but look at how it's running. People weren't crazy about the action on Friday. And the one thing that I keep, and I agree with that. I mean, I thought it was actually going to go at the end of the day and run up. But I mean, I closed above that level for the first week ever. I'll take it. Maybe I reverse on Friday or this week, right? But for now, I closed above that level. I have not closed above that level since April. So that's important to me. And, there's certain things to understand about patterns, right? And I'm just going to leave this on the weekly because it cleans it up a lot. And by cleans it up, like I can just show you this like so much cleaner, right? So look, Jenny, like here's the issue. When you break a wedge like this, right? And you can see how this wedge was here and then how we hit it and then we closed over it and then nothing happened. Then as soon as we get over this little hump right here, it tries, it fails, makes you think it's going down and then it rips, right? Once you break a wedge, to confirm that the wedge break is confirmed and that the bottom is in, I have to get above this level, okay? Getting above this level signifies that I have the opportunity to go to the target price. The target price of any wedge break is the top right here. Okay, that's the top of wherever the wedge starts. So do I think it can get to 900? Yes, I do. I think it can. I like it a lot. It's very clear that they're crushing it right now. EXPI, like here's my issue with EXPI. Okay, is that I really like it, and you have this breakout from here, right, and how you went up, but this bearish engulfing on the weekly, I can't go near this. And I'm looking at this weekly chart because it's a lot cleaner. And when it's not, I'll go back to dailies. But look, if you want to see a level that you need to watch, there it is. Okay, that is 43.64. So I really let's just do it this way. Then we clear that off, and then they'll just go here, and I'll just pin it. Okay, that's what you're looking for. Okay, getting above there, and you could have a morning star pattern like this evening star pattern, right? And then break back up, and then you could try that, and then use this as a stop, right? It'd be like $4, but actually, it'd be like more closer to 5 or 6. So, but it depends on the slippage. But you really need to watch this. I'm not crazy about what happened here. So, I mean, I took a hit on this one. Bought this breakout. I mean, this was a clean breakout, super clean, and it did not go through. So that's very concerning. And what's happening and what would concern me about it is rallies up, looks like it's going to go. And then I have this massive sell down here, gets up roughly to that same price point, and then I just have a massive sell down again. So there must be a seller up there, right? So that's what we have to just keep our eye on. So Nvidia, I like Nvidia a lot. I really do. And I went over it a little bit earlier. Let's go over it again. So I just think you have to watch this area, right? We broke down and now we're wedged in here, and maybe we'll turn and break. But for now, you just have to wait. You're sitting right on the 50-day and you can't close over it. So if you're on the 50-day moving average and you can't close over it, it means that institutions are selling the stock. And no amount of buying that we do is going to change that. So we just have to hold off. We just have to hold off and let it set up. Hut. So I mean, this can work still. Let's do this. And let's look at it this way. Okay. So we're above all the moving averages. We see that, right? Okay. So then we're going to drop it. And we're going to start with this wick line and see where that takes us. Okay. 1019. Can't close above it. Barely does. Right? Okay. So this is a pretty good close that we haven't had before. So if we're there and then we're going to go here, right? That's setting you up. Okay. So really all you're looking for is to get above this level. So if you can get above that 1102, you could go here. It is possible. I wonder where this one takes us. While we're looking at it, might as well do it. Yeah. Look at that. So realistically then, if I break this, so if I break that level, you're probably heading back to here, $13. So watch this $11, and there's probably $2 there. That can work. Bitcoin looks like it's going to rip. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin hit a new high, frankly. Yeah, I think it's going down, Brett. I really do. I think we're going down. You're going to have to see, but right now you're trying to stay above this red line, and you're having a hard time. That's why it's so important to understand these red bars and which ones are breakdowns and which ones aren't, right? Because look, I mean, that's clear as day what's going on there and where your seller is, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, it's not too hard to figure out. So, I mean, I like the company. You better hold that line. And right now you're above the indexes, so you have high relative strength. Maybe it built, but I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not adding to it here. So, yeah, the weekly looks a lot more encouraging. Well, that's where you always have to do that sometimes because, like, I can't stress it enough. Like, if you went and looked at the monthly, okay, that's the monthly. Now, with the month's not anywhere near over, we know that, right? But see what I'm getting at? So I would just watch this, but it's not something that I would get involved with. It really isn't. It's something where I would, yeah, I look, I really think that this bearish engulfing has me concerned. But what I'm seeing is a break here. So if I can break here on this monthly and get back up over here, it's the same level we've been looking at, right? But now if we take that level and then we look at it on a weekly, right? And there you are on the weekly, right? Because the week's the same as the month for now. Look at it on a daily. Look where you're at. We have to get above the gravestone. So you can see how this all connects, right, Jen? Like when you get above that gravestone, you're going to be in better shape. And that's really what you're focused on, right? So I like it. I do. I'm a buyer at this point. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to stop trying to sugarcoat things. SDC. SDC, the old hanging man. I guess it's a hanging man. If that's not broken, you're not broken. But now you know where your range is, right? Now you know where your range is. So you really don't buy it until you get above that. Other than that, if you don't hold, you're probably heading back down to here. Let's see what other ones we have that are good here. So let's keep going. So can you look at McDonald's? Feels like it's setting up for a big move. Let's take a look. All right. No, not for me. So here's your issue. I have no volume. The only way that this is going to move is institutions. So institutions are not looking at this. Okay. I get up to here and I sell down. I get up to here again, I sell down. I get up to here, I have this little gravestone on top of that. Now I have a bearish engulfing. So this needs work. I mean, I know it looks like it's going to go, but I really don't think you're going anywhere. So I think you're going to wind up coming back down a little bit, maybe basing and then going higher, but I just don't see that happening. I don't think there's a lot there, Jordo. I think it can fill the gap. Shane, I do. Absolutely, I think Merck can fill that gap. It's interesting because, the news that's out, someone sent me a study on it and how it genetically engineers something or changes something, or one of the side effects is genetic modification or something like that. And I hate to say this without being a scientist and knowing it, but if that's the case, this thing's going to go lower than in the 70s. So for me, the issue has always been get me into this close and you might as well short it, right? And here's the key to this. Here's your level. See your close, see your low. Okay, here's your close and your low. You closed right on your low. Okay, but you didn't break it. You didn't stay low and you didn't stay below it. What did we do again here? Closed right on the low. So when you break this bar, you're going to fill this gap. Forget where this 8-day is. It won't matter. You're going to go right through it. This downward trend line might stop you. Maybe. But most likely when you break these breakout bars, you go and fill the gap or you go higher, right? You don't not fill the gap usually. Let me just put it to you that way. So just kind of keep that in mind. But that's definitely, just to be clear, that's on my list as a short idea, actually, Shane. The open trade was looking pretty. Yeah, I like the open trade. And, that was in the top 10 list. The top 10 list, all you have to do is click on the profile and it's right there. I like this trade. I think this could work. This is the kind of stuff you want to see, bases like this on beaten down names, and now they're working their way back. And that's exactly what this is doing. So this could absolutely work, Swing. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it's going to do. I think it's exactly what it's going to do. Buy the dips and this let it grind higher. That's what we've been doing with it, Ro. I've been buying the dips and going from there. Do I think cash covered puts are a stable way to make some profit? You can. I mean, look, a lot of very wealthy people do what you're saying because what they're doing is they're selling time and volatility, right? So one of the biggest investors in the world actually does this. He sells deep in the money puts all the time, out for like a year or two, and he leaves them on. And he does that as well as own stock. And the reason for it is because if the position just sits there, while it's sitting there, he's just making money, right? Because they go up even though if the stock doesn't move. So can you do that and make money? Yes. Yes, you can. You can do quite well doing it, but you have to know what you're doing. Hey, Timo. Baba, I actually am short Baba. And I'm waiting to add to it. So I'm probably not who you want to talk to. So I just think it's going to keep going down. It may rally up to the 50-day, but I don't know that we're going to go past there. I don't really think so. So it's not something that I have an interest in. You're getting that like little Buffett push because he said he bought it. And then as fund managers will start selling out of the position, a little, they'll sell a little bit, take a little bit of profit to lower his cost basis. So, I don't know. I don't know how much longer it's going to take. I mean, look, you have supply constraints now with all these ships, and now they're talking about a strike. Like, Swing, if you should be out of that at this point. Like, you should not be in that trade anymore. Like, now you're breaking that 50-day moving average. So, especially on Friday's action, I mean, that actually looks like it could be, a short. So I'd be really cautious there, like really cautious. If you take out this low right here, you're going to have an issue. So if you break $44, you should probably get out of the way, because that could get really ugly really fast. So especially like this, if you break the evening star. So I wouldn't be rushing into that. I'd be getting out of that. I don't know how much longer it takes for semis. A lot of semis look broken. Gary, I'm not probably going to be that involved in China stocks. There's too much uncertainty for me. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I'm really, really afraid of that. I'm not going to lie. Like this, like I always knew they were heavy-handed, but I never knew they were this heavy-handed, right? Like I just didn't know it. Like this pretty much solidified it for me. When they came out and said, take the app, I think it was this day, I was long the stock, and they're like, take the app off. They tell Apple and Google to take the app off their site because the DIDI complied with the SEC. That's a massive, massive issue. And when they did that, the CEO at this point resigned from the company and said that the government's going to take a stake in it. So I don't see any reason to think that they're not going to do that with other companies, right? Did you see what happened with Las Vegas Sands, right? Okay, so this is the Sands, and this is what's happening to their stock because of Macau and the government saying, we want a stake in your company. Now, the government wants stakes in these companies. And if they don't give them to them, guess what? Okay, they're just going to take the whole thing, just like they did with ARM. I mean, I don't know who saw that or not, but like ARM literally was just taken over. Like a division of ARM was just taken over by China. They just decided we're taking the company over and there's nothing that you can do about it. So it's getting to a point where they're just getting so blatant about it to think that it's going to stop for any reason would make me very concerned about buying any of those names. Merck advised against pregnant women taken because of genetic mutations. Yeah, I would think that with the vaccines too, but again, Shane, it's not my wheelhouse. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing with it's kind of the thing with the Chinese names. Like you have to understand something. You really don't even know the earnings or revenues if they're accurate. And there's some good companies out there. I was talking to someone about NIO today, and it's a great company. It sounds like a great company, and it's probably a very real company considering how much they love it. I think it's in Norway we were talking about. This looks really good. Bottoming down here. This is a newer issue, isn't it? No, it's not. I was thinking of another name. This looks really good. Look at where you closed. 6 cents, 7 cents away. So it's clear what you have to do. You need to close over 174.79 or just get over this level, which was 170, 177. So if you do either of those, you're probably in good shape. But I like that. I like that your volume on the sell side was low and now it's picking up. It's probably cleaner to look at this one on a weekly. So, and you can see it much cleaner there, right? I like it, but you don't have, you need this volume to pick up. But that's a solid move. Hold on one second. Let me throw this over here, and then I can do both at the same time. There we go. Moved it to one of my other screens. Okay, so can VNOM move higher? Let's take a look. Yes, this can move higher. This could move a lot higher. This whole base breaking here, breaking this high, respecting your 8 and your 21, 50 pointing straight up. Yes, this is probably one of those like limited partnerships that pays like a dividend, right? And the dividends get greater and greater as energy prices go up. And then when energy prices come down, it gets hammered. Yeah. The fact that I'm looking at a weekly and I'm crossing the 200-week moving average, and I haven't done that since back here, leads me to believe that, yeah, that you can go long this. This is not done. So it's going to be a slow grind, but it's going to grind nonetheless. Yeah, I think it's smart getting out of that. You just can't. No, you can't be that in love with them. I trade on several different platforms. If you have requirements or questions about them, just email me. I don't want to get into all the platforms here, but I have several different platforms that I use. Yeah, I mean, you just got to get out of the way, Swing. All right, so let's keep going. MTTR and Aries. Yeah, I was looking at Aries. So here you are, and you're coming across. Look, I think that when you're looking at something like this, you really have to wait for it to break out. And right now, you can see you're having trouble with 1976. So I wouldn't go near it. Aries I like, and this could work. I actually think this is what Goldman's going to do. That I had in the top 10. You see this? You base, then you go 1, 2, reverse. Here's your wedge line. Like here, let's get rid of this. And you can see that you can actually see it. I'm actually surprised Goldman hasn't done it yet, but it hasn't. We'd actually have to use that. So there's your level, and you clearly broke it. So yeah, you can go all the way back up to here and then get right back in that channel and keep on going. So, and that very well could happen. I mean, look at it. It's just a beast. It probably just keeps going. It's just a cash cow. I mean, it really is. So I like that trade. I like the Aries trade. Amazon. So stuck in a range. It's very little to say here, man. I mean, I wish I had something better for you, but we got 5 minutes left here, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to throw out more of them, let me know and we'll keep going. But you see these levels? Like you just have to watch this. There's no point in even putting these in because you're just going to flatline. So there's no reason to even put them in. But let me just run through something. So like, I know people keep looking at the socks. Like, look at like this does not look good. I mean, 48 is clearly an issue, right? And we're breaking it, and we've broken all the indicators. So, and you're trying to hold the 200-day. So, like, that's not great. It just isn't great. You know, you got to be really careful out there. Like, this is biotech index. So you just have to be really careful. Like, look at the difference between that and this. Okay, energy's going higher. I mean, it's going higher. I mean, it's very clear it's going higher. So let's just let it do what it's going to do. So LSPD, I mean, yeah, you can't go near that. That was nasty Friday. That reversal on Friday, I mean, look at that. You're probably going to here. So, you know, I mean, you only, out of all these days, you only had like 2 that are up, but you're seeing some of that, right? Like people are just getting out. I mean, look, that's a clean rejection on Asan. Same thing. So, yep, you guys are welcome. Could I ask about XNCR? Sure. So, you're kind of not going anywhere. The one thing I like about it is, yes, these are all starting to curl up and they're all starting to spread, right? But you got to get up to here. So that's going to give me $2, $2.50. Do I really want to risk all this for $2.50? I mean, that's not really my kind of trade. I would want to see it break and then maybe get involved. Like here, I would have gotten involved and said, oh, maybe it's really going to go. Then it comes up. Maybe I sell it. Maybe I don't. Right. And then I just get stopped out and then I avoid all this. So that can happen. But I don't see much more sense in doing anything. Ford. Let's do Ford. So here's your level, and then you kind of go from there. I mean, look, I've been talking about this. I love this name because I've been talking about this forever. And let me show it to you here on this. Hold on. Monthly. So I'll show it to you this way. Okay. And I've been saying this, and some people are listing for their longer term accounts when I'm saying it, but this in particular on a monthly chart, okay, they have more pre-orders than all the companies combined that are in EV. Okay. And people are just not paying attention to it. So maybe it's because of their unions and their costs that they're not paying attention to it, but it's silly. It's absolutely silly. And I do think that they're going to go higher. I think they're going to go a lot higher. And I think you're heading back to this level. So it's going to take years, but it's going to do it. And it's done exactly what you wanted to do. It's broken out, the new month starting. Get above this and everyone's going to be all over it, right? But it's going to take time. It's a huge company with a ton of shares outstanding. But I absolutely love it. So I think it'll do really well. So the stocks will always look cleaner. I don't trade that. I don't buy options on it. That's all. Here's your issue. Look familiar? It looks just like that, right? Which looks just like this. So, I mean, as the SPY goes, Microsoft goes. So, and then let's do Microsoft. And let's do the stocks real quick, and then Adobe, and then I'm out of here. So, I mean, it's just glaringly ugly, right? So there's no reason to be going near the semiconductors. So, we'll see. ADBE. So, as always, yeah, Comrade, I appreciate that. Please like this video. I'm trying to get in front of as many people as humanly possible to show them what it takes to be successful at this. So, Adobe. I mean, what's your hurry, right? I mean, I don't see any reason to go near this. I'd be really careful. So you're probably going to 550. You're probably coming down to here. I don't know if you're short or not, but I think that's where you're going. All right, I'll do V, and then I got to go. You run right to the 50-day, buddy. You run right to your 50-day, and you reject it. All right, that's it, everybody. I am out of here. Everyone have a great day. If you need anything, reach out. As always, some people don't like talking in the room about their personal stuff. So, and I get that. Just email me there. All right, everyone have a great night.